also have this shit I forgot about.
So you have a lot of books there. Could you tell us a little bit about maybe your literature journey or what you really enjoy reading?
Yeah, I read a lot as a kid. I used to read a lot, and reading was always an escape from reality. And over the last years, when I really started getting back into reading, at least reading fiction, because I would read a lot of nonfiction. Obviously, when I was studying, I would read a lot of philosophy and sort of very technical things on how to draw and things like that. But you know, you get one good book that will just keep you reading, and that's what started kind of had the ball rolling for me, and I just started getting more into the practice of reading a book and reading as many books as I can, and just having it as a pastime. So what I do is I keep a routine, and I'll be reading 2 books at a time. What that means is that I will pick a fiction, and I will pick a nonfiction, and the nonfiction I will read throughout the day while I have the most energy, and I can retain as much information that I need to from the nonfiction. And when I'm in a space like this where I'm very isolated, and I can have my music playing, and I can settle down and let my mind go wherever. I'll read a fiction. I'll read a fictional book, and I'll put on some music, and I just get lost in that book. And as I'm reading the pages, and as I'm reading what the author writes and describes, I can imagine, I can see the world, and I can see the story playing out in my head. And you know, everything that the author does not describe are things that I can completely make up that would coincide with the story. And so as I'm reading a story, I can almost see it play out in my head, and I'm almost lost in that story, you know. And it's such a good experience. I'm Nestor. Been making art for 3 years. Started with graphic design, and slowly figured out what I want to do in life is illustration. Focus mostly on making paintings, concept art, comic books, illustrations of that sort.
So I'm here with Nestor for a chance to really get an insight of who he really is as an artist, and how that has shaped him as maybe sort of seeing the world differently. And one of my first question is what excites you the most about the process of creating your artwork?
I think it's tackling a challenge. It's facing a problem and overcoming it, and using your artistic skill as a way to find a solution to a problem. And so it's especially exciting when a client comes to you looking for a commission, and they have all these ideas that they have in their head, and you're the one that takes those ideas out of nothing and creates them into something, and makes them into something visual that you can fathom, that you can feel when you look at it. And that's one of the most exciting things. It's solving someone's problem that they're having, and being able to give them their own imagination in a visual context.
So I was wondering if you could elaborate on some challenges throughout your career that have essentially maybe given you a lot of growth when it comes to a project. Could you emphasize or specifically talk about one certain project that has done that for you?
I mean, sure, you learn something from every project. I think you learn more from looking back at your last 5 projects and seeing what you are as a collective. And you often reflect back at the types of projects that you're doing and how you're approaching them, and you can look at it from a third person's perspective and sort of analyze how you do things and how you carry yourself as an artist. And you can almost criticize yourself with every project that you have. And that's slowly how you become more of the person that you want to be. You know? And so I feel like every project should be something that you do your best attempt at, but you ultimately need to realize that the best growth is when you look back on a project and say, I could have done things better, or I would have done things better.
So when it comes to making things better, whenever you are working on a project, do you ever consider yourself as a perfectionist during the process, or maybe during the end?
Well, better, it just refers to effectiveness. That's really, because who can define what is better? I wouldn't define them in terms of pretty or beautiful or things that vague. I would mean how effective is what you're creating? How effective does the artwork render in the world? And so when you talk about perfectionism, I think you can't compare anything to perfect, because the idea of perfect is an abstract concept that means something different to everyone. What you should strive is for yourself to be the perfect version of yourself. So when you talk about perfectionism, you shouldn't strive to make a perfect artwork per se. You should strive to be a perfect version of yourself, which just means holding yourself up to the highest of standards and having discipline towards every project that you take on. And that's something that I try to bring to every single project. I try to be as diligent as possible with every project that I take on, any client that I'm talking to. I try to turn over every rock. I try to be as fast and effective as I can to blow this person away, because that is what makes you stand out as an artist. It's how well you conduct yourself. And if you can be that perfect artist, it's going to show in your art. You don't have to strive for greatness in making art. You just have to be great yourself.
Do you ever believe you were born as an artist, or any sort of artistic kind of, I wouldn't say artist, or maybe a designer, or someone that can create things, a creator? Because I think there's a lot of definition when it comes to being a designer, an artist, and maybe a creator.
I was born to be an artist. I say that with full confidence because I know it in my heart. It is the only spiritual thing that I would say I believe in. It's the fact that I was born and I was here to be an artist. And yeah, there were signs as a kid. I was always very imaginative. I was always very creative. I always liked visual things. But you learn that about yourself as you become an adult. And when I became an adult is when I started making art, as in taking it professionally. And it's very different to just like art and treat it as a hobby versus treating it as a competition, which is what I started doing as an adult, making art.
Do you ever think that you ever run into that point where you start having issues of defining whether your art is a hobby or something that's meant to be as a competition? Or do you think that they're both correlating?
I think it can mess with a lot of people who might not take it so seriously, but I take this shit seriously. And I don't see art as a hobby, as in, at least I don't treat it like a hobby. It can be, it's sometimes I like I like drawing just for the heck of it. I like drawing just to relax, or just because I have something on my mind. But when you want to be competitive, it's because you see art as exactly that. It's a competition. It's a career. And so if you don't have that urge to constantly redefine yourself and constantly outdo yourself, that's when it falls in line of just a hobby and just a pastime. And I don't see it as a pastime. I see it as this is my life, and the sacrifices that I've made in my life have all been towards bettering myself as an artist and bettering myself as a person so I can be a better artist.
Through the journey of bettering yourself as a person and as an artist, do you believe that the city has influenced you or helped you out in a way that has helped you elevate when it comes to creating?
Yeah, this city was very influential. Growing up, a lot of people, you learn a lot from the culture and the people that you surround yourself with. I don't think I would be as diverse as a person if I were to be grown up anywhere else besides Miami. I think Miami just has an energy to it that I love. It's an addicting, toxic energy that you can't get enough of, living in a big city surrounded by a bunch of people doing their own things and living their own lives. And it's kind of this big ant colony of people living together. And I think that's beautiful. I wouldn't trade that for living in any farm or any small town. I would happily die in a big city.
What are some of your favorite parts living in Miami?
The views. I love the sky in Miami. The sky in here, it's always a beautiful thing to look at. It's like literally looking up and seeing a work of art that the universe has made. A bunch of elements came together and made for you to see. And you get some of the most beautiful sunsets. You have some of the most beautiful wildlife and plants and trees. I love looking at palm trees. There's just so many things to see in Miami.
Is there any checkpoint you want to be when it comes to your artistic career? Any goals that you have in mind when it comes to maybe this year or in the next 5 years?
Yeah. Well, I'm still in school, so I definitely want to finish school. I think the journey of finishing school has unrolled itself, and the way that it's unrolled has been beautiful. So I wouldn't change anything about it. I still don't know what school I'm going to go to, and I think that's in itself a good thing, because I have a chance to seek discomfort. And so if I don't know where I'm going to head in the future, there's something I can find comforting about that, because I know that I'm constantly going to readapt myself. And so when you apply that logic to your career, I don't know what city I want to end up in, but I know that wherever I go, I'm going to have that same mentality that I have. My intuition will take me anywhere I need to go and anywhere that I want to do. And my work ethic is what's going to get me anywhere that I want to be. And I definitely want to be doing sort of the artistic checkpoints, a solo show, and I want to sell prints. I want to market myself as an artist, do murals, get more into street art, paint for people, sell paintings to high valued people. It's an entire lifestyle that it's glamorized as an artist. That's sort of what it's enticing. But beyond that, I just want to have a meaningful life. I want my art to be as meaningful as I am in life. I want to bring value to people, and I want to inspire others, and be a leader in the community. That's what I've always wanted to be.
I feel like you already answered my last question, and that's who do you want to become and what do you want to leave behind the world? But I was wondering if you could also emphasize a little bit on like a couple of things that you're interested when it comes to your artistic practice, and maybe some other things that you like, sort of other classes, such as because I see that sometimes you're into photography, and I'm just curious to know if like that's something that you would definitely take a course in, or actually dive into as like a mini series or something.
Yeah, photography has always been a very interesting art form for me. I've recently taken it up very amateurishly, and sort of my approach to photography is I wanted it to be different than an approach that I took to art, which is very technical. With art, I did the work and I studied, and I read all the books and watched all the videos, took all the lessons, and I approached it from a very technical standpoint of learning the facts and the logic of making art. And with photography, I have the unique opportunity of taking a very different approach to that, a very amateurish approach, which is just buy the camera and do the fucking thing. And that's where I've kind of been. I there are some other photographers that I particularly like their approach to photography, and things that I can take of that sort. But the rest, I just want to figure it out. When it comes to photography, I can things that I can easily teach myself. When it comes to equipment and techniques and sort of the fundamentals of photography, I have a, like I said, unique opportunity to approach it from a very amateurish perspective, and what that will do is it will correlate directly into my photos, and that's what I'm hoping to get from photography. I like the idea I like the question that you mentioned previously about what I want to leave behind, because death is something that I think about constantly, and specifically what my art will be after I'm dead. And what I want to leave behind with art is I want to leave behind an impression of the type of person I was. I want people to be able to study my practices and my approaches to things, and I want to leave behind a legacy of a hardworking artist, and I think that is what I was born to do. It's what I will do, and every day that I have on this world, I have to dedicate to being that hardworking artist.
Cool. Anything you want to say to yourself, maybe in 10 years later? Anything that you have, like a little message for yourself in 10 years after, or if you want to look at this video 10 years later and probably say something, probably say it now if you want. I'm not sure if you really understand what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, talk to myself from 10 years from now, which is a very surreal thing. I'm 23 right now. In 10 years, it'll be 2034, and I'll be 33 years old. And I hope to have a family, and I hope to have a well-established career, and I hope none of the things that sort of get me down today, I hope I can look back and smile upon and laugh upon. I hope I have a lot of the same people that I have in my life now, but I also hope that I meet people that I can't even imagine of meeting now. And I hope I'm still myself. I hope I can look back 10 years like I would look back 10 years now and look at that kid and think, that kid is still me. I hope I can never lose myself. If you want to take advantage, I would say get at me now that I'm cheap, because I'm only going to get more expensive as I grow. I don't draw for free. This is one of my favorite paintings. I've kind of turned this painting into a memorial in a lot of ways. So I attached like things from things that she got me, and like on the back, attached things, and written things on there.
Who's that on the painting?
That's my grandma, Rosa. And yeah, she basically raised me. She was a really good person all around. She was a role model for me in a lot of ways. Took care of me and my brother. She passed away in 2018 after fighting cancer for a long time. So I try to carry her in a lot of ways with me. And when I made this painting, it felt like one of the things that I had to do as an artist. So one of the accomplishments was having a painting of her, having something that I can memorialize, and send as send a message to my family, and something that they can relate to as well. I'm Art Kill Gods. I've been an artist for 3 years, and I make art.